when I pinpoint what needs to change about this team, because that's something I do want to touch on, right? Got people saying, well, are you guys happy that, um, the Zach Taylor's going to be back? It's not necessarily a happy thing, but what would you rather have wanted, right? I think that this team potentially could have had, done more harm to itself if they would have lost 3 out of these last 5. Like I was projecting. I didn't think that they would, win all 5 of these games, but they ended up doing that. So I think the bigger question with this team as it currently stands, not what should they do, but what will they end up doing, is what can you control? And that's keeping the players who are talented on your team and looking to acquire other talent. So when I'm looking from that perspective, right, of what can change with this team, I thought that the defensive line, I thought the bright spots, I like McKinley Jackson, I like Chris Jenkins. From my analysis of the past 5 weeks, I do think, and I would personally love, maybe it's a luxury, I would love a stud alongside Chris Jenkins. That's what I would like. And I don't know how realistic that is, but in Madden land, in fantasy land, what I ideally would like, I look at what Cam Hayward did tonight and I say, I want that. I thought that Cam Hayward single-handedly was the most impactful defensive player on the Steelers. 3 batted passes, and multiple times, whether it's run stuffs, just clogging up the hole. The dude is 300 something pounds, and he is making a massive difference. When I watch football, I say, hey, I want that. So how can the Bengals get that? I don't know if it's attainable for them to go trade for Leonard Williams. I don't know if it's attainable for them to go out and get those guys, but that's what I would be looking at this offseason saying, hey, what can we do to kind of get a guy like Cam Hayward?
See, this is where we disagree a little bit, man.
Really?
I think that edge needs to be the focus, bro.
Oh, no, for sure.
I think that, like, you can't, like, have, there's only going to be so much money to go around, obviously.
Yep.
But I'd prefer to get another stud edge, whether that's via free agency or a guy. Not even it doesn't have to be a stud guy. I'm asking you to go out there and pay a guy $25 million a year. That's not what I'm asking. But I'm asking you to get a guy that has produced, that has shown the ability to do so. For me, I think that's the bigger focus, because I think this defensive line, the young guys, like we talked about for the last couple of weeks, McKinley Jackson and Chris Jenkins have shown the ability to show a lot of pressure. McKinley Jackson made it so many plays today. I don't want to just throw him to the side. And I'm not saying that's what you are doing, but I also think that there is an opportunity for you to add a veteran in here that could help, right? And you allow those 2 guys to continue to develop and do some growing, some maturation alongside one another. But I think an edge rusher is a spot that you definitely can go, that you definitely should consider going, in my honest opinion. But I understand you see a guy like, Cam Hayward making plays, the plays that he is making at his age, 35 years old, right? Batting down passes, stuff like that. That's great. That's their scheme. That works for them. He's a great player for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's been great for that organization. And sure, that's a homegrown talent. That's a guy that's a guy that literally was built with them. That hasn't played his entire career with them, and he's done great with them. But I think that, who's to say in the future Chris Jenkins or McKinley Jackson can't become one of that type of guy down the road. Now I'm not saying that he will, but that's also homegrown talent, right? That's credit to the Pittsburgh Steelers drafting and finding that piece that has been a mainstay in the organization for 10 plus years, right? That's just a credit to the job that he's done and how consistent he's been throughout his career for the Pittsburgh Steelers. For me, I'd like the Bengals to draft their own type of guys, whatever that be, whether that is in the pass rush department at edge or at cornerback or whatever the case may be. But definitely this defense needs an infusion of youth and talent. I like the correction someone made in the comment section. I appreciate that, because I do agree with that. I think that you see the scheme is not the issue, right? It's the ability to make plays, critical plays down the stretch. That's my thought process.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's another takeaway. And like I said, I think when I look at it too, what's more likely, just from the looks of it, there's a couple guys in free agency, the edge rushers, right? Azeez Ojularis of the world. And you're going to have your chance. And this is where I kind of, battle back and forth, and we'll get into it when we talk about the draft. There's a chance round 1, it's full of edge. Round 2, it's full of edge. I think you don't leave one of those 2 rounds without an edge. And I think it's very clear from watching this, and I hate to say it, but that is something you have to address, right? You are not leaving free agency / the draft without one edge rusher you can look at and say, hey, that guy for 4+ years could be the guy. For even beyond that, a guy that we can say, hey, maybe we do give him an extra contract, but there's that is the one position at least you say, hey, no matter what, you have to add a premier talent, not a superstar, not even a star, but you need to add a guy that you can say, hey, he could be the starter and a very productive player for the next 4+ seasons. Because Miles Murphy at this point, for me, he looks like a rotational piece. He doesn't look like a potential star. And maybe he develops into a star. Maybe he develops into a starter. But for me, 2 full years of seeing, on and off, I don't think that he's got star written over him. And for me, when you're looking to build a team, you would hope that you look opposite Trey Hendrickson and say, hey, we need somebody there. So I'm with you. I think edge rusher.